Right, you're welcome along to the part of the show which we call Up Close and Personal, where we get to meet and greet some of the stars of the Irish music scene. And today we're crossing down to Longford to meet one of the true legends of the Irish country music scene, Mick Flavin. Hello, good afternoon, Mick.
Good afternoon, Sean. How are you?
I'm very well, and thanks a million for allowing us to have this interview with you.
No problem. I'm delighted, Sean. Delighted.
I mean, it's been a long road that you've been on. Take us back down this road that first started for you, because the first time ever I heard of Mick Flavin, I mean, was a couple of times when I was over on holiday in Galway, and we used to hear all about this travelling to Flavin, which, as I said, was sort of a milestone, because even to this day, people still have that hook line, I'm travelling to Flavin.
That's right.
I mean, when you originally started out, of course, like all those years back, I mean, you were holding down a day job as well, weren't you?
I was, Sean, yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I really got into music back in the 60s. When I left the school here in Ballymuck, in the technical school, I got a chance to go with the band, and there was 5 of us in the band in 1966. And that's a long time ago, Sean. And, we played around the local scene here for a couple of years, for about 2 years. We did all the kind of dry halls. They were all like the parochial halls. There was no bars or anything in the halls that time. And then we did get a chance to go full-time, but unfortunately it didn't materialise. The guy we were working for, he wouldn't go down that road. He said, if we make it, we'll make it on our own bat. So then we split up after about 2 years, and then I kind of went away from the music scene, and I went off to work in Dublin about 1969, and I was working in Dublin until about 74, I think it was. And then I came back down home, built a house here just outside Longford, and I met up with a fellow that I used to know. He played with a band called the High-Lows, a fellow called Jed Calvert. And him and I and this other man who's dead since, Paddy Nichol, God rest him, he used to play a saxophone. And the three of us struck off, and we just played the pub scene that time, Sean, and we did weddings and stuff like that, and the pub scene was huge that time in Ireland, and the ballad scene, and that whole scene was tremendous, and there was a lot of people going out that time, a lot of people drinking and all that, and we stayed at that then right up until about 86, and I remember then one night I was doing a charity night here in Drumlishy, where I live now, and I met up with Declan Early that night, and then we started chatting about the local radios, and at the time there was a lot of pirate radios here in Ireland and in the south of Ireland, and they were all playing country music, and I remember Declan encouraging me that night to go and record, and I didn't. I just laughed at him and I said, no, I'm happy enough, because I was working as a carpenter here for Longford County Council from about 75. This was 86. But anyway, him and I did eventually go over to Athlone. I think it was around June of 86, and we put down a couple of songs, Sean, and we played them the whole way home. That time there was no CDs or anything like that. It was just a cassette, and we played it in his car. And Jenny, anyway, we went back and we did 10 tracks in total, and it came out, I think it was around Christmas time of 86. And then at the beginning of 87, I was going around like now doing interviews and all that kind of stuff, and I happened to be up in Treble Theo Radio in Dublin, which was a huge country station. And the man that owned it was a man called Jimmy Smith, and he rang his brother in Cavan, who managed bands like Gene Stewart and different ones at the time. So I eventually sent him on a CD, or a cassette, sorry, and he rang me after about a week, and he came down to see us playing in Longford here. There was just 3 of us playing the pub scene, and so we met after the thing was over, and he just said to me, would you like to go at it full time? And I said I'd love to, because it was an ambition of mine for many, many years. And I said even back in 66 I got a chance, and it didn't materialise, and I was hoping this time it might. So anyway, he said, look, he said, I'll get a dance for you. I won't get too many dances. I'll just get one dance to start with in Cavan. And so we played the Farnham Arms, and we got in a drummer and a bass player. We didn't have a drummer or a bass player. All we had in the band at the group at the time was we had a piano player, and we had a guy playing a bit of steel and lead, and we had these electric drums, you know. So anyway, we got in a bass player and we got a drummer in, and that night there was a huge crowd in Cavan, and because it was blown off the air all around, that there was 3 pirate radio stations in Cavan at the time, Breffni, Ironside and Cavan, CCR, Cavan Community Radio. So anyway, we kept playing the pubs, and then I got a deal with a company called Harmac Records, and I did an album for them, which was produced by John Ryan, who does all Daniel's work on that. And we recorded that in Dublin. That came out about the end of July of 1987, and so we kind of went around the scene then for a while, playing to poor enough crowds and that, but when that album came out, it really, it kind of lifted me, and it got played on national radio, and it was on television as well, because the Harmac did a video of it, and I remember it came out at the Christmas time, and it was a huge success, that album. So that was kind of where it all started, Sean. And then in '89 I got a chance to sing at Wembley, and that was a huge kind of a milestone in my career. And I met the man that I really idolised from I was a kid, Buck Owens, and I got a chance to meet him. And then I went on to do different things, and I appeared on the Late Late and a few things like that, and Jerry Kelly, and all those shows like Live at 3 and Open House and all them. And then about 2 years ago, Sean, we took a whole group of people out to Nashville and to Memphis and up to Dollywood and that, and I got singing on the Grand Ole Opry, which was kind of a lifetime achievement, really. It's something I often dreamed about, but never ever thought it could happen, and it did happen, to be honest with you, through George Hamilton IV was the man that made it all possible for me, you know. And that's kind of where I'm at, Sean, and I was with the company called, I left Harmac then in '89, and I went to Ritz. And I was at Ritz then up until about 2001, and then I left them, and I sort of branched out on my own, and I started this little record company called Schoolyard Records after the song The Old Schoolyard. So I've been recording, I don't know how much of it, about 4 or 5 albums now, and a DVD on the own label, you know.
Mm. Well, you've done really well.
That now, and we've a brand new album just out a few days ago, Sean, and it's getting a lot of airplay at the moment, you know.
Well, I mean, it's been as I said, a long road for you, but I mean, as I said, I can remember getting into you like years ago. Well, I mean, one of my first remembrances was The Shoe Goes on the Other Foot Tonight, which was on one of your vinyl albums, you know what I mean? And I mean, I remember playing it and getting the album and loving it. And I mean, of course, like seeing you down at Wembley, which was, as you said, absolutely wonderful to see an Irish artist. But one thing I've always said, and I will always stick by this, and I mean, people have often said to me, why do you say it? And it's the truth, which is, I would say that if you were American, I tell you what, Ireland wouldn't get a look in at you, because I tell you what, you got one of the best country voices, and I'm not sucking up to you or anything like that. No. You got the greatest country voice that's ever come out of Ireland. Right. It's so natural, and as I've said on my radio show, Some Blue in the Face, and people have to realise this, that if you were American, you'd be guarded in America like Alan Jackson and George Strait, because they don't let anybody near them, because they're like icons to them, which, as I've always said to you, which I've always said about you, you're one of the true country icons here. I mean, we should be so happy to have somebody with a voice and the way that you can sing songs the way you do.
Yeah, well, I've always kind of loved country music. Well, back in the 50s when I was growing up, I did start off listening to rock and roll and that, Sean, to Buddy Holly and Eddie Corcoran and all the greats. And then I remember, like, we got an old record player, a sister of mine bought this record player, second-hand record player, and I remember she came home with Elvis records and all that, and then somebody loaned us a couple of the Hank Williams ones and the old MGM label, and we played those, and I just kind of fell in love with his voice and the songs, the way he wrote them and that, and he was fantastic. And then we went on then to listen to Charlie Pride and Jim Reeves. My father, God rest him, was a great fan of Jim Reeves and that, and like Marty Robbins and people like that, and it was our house at the time when we were young. It was full of music, it was music, and like, of course, there wasn't like the pop music that there is now and that kind of thing. It was rock and roll or country, and that was it, really,
But as I've always said about your voice, though, I mean, anybody who listens to it, I mean, like, this is not just like the Irish people, I mean, the English, and I mean, because you got huge following in England, and I mean, in Scotland as well. I mean, it just oozes country as you sing it, you know what I mean? And I love watching you, because the thing is, you can see singers and have to put effort into it, but you don't. It just flows. It's just like watching the river. You stand on the bank and look at the river flowing. At least but the way you do it is so beautiful and so easy going, and it comes out sounding brilliant.
Yeah, it just comes out. Well, go back to my father, God rest him, was a great singer. But he didn't sing. But he did sing an odd country song. He would sing maybe one of Jim Reeves on the Blue Side of the Lonesome. But the kind of stuff that he sang would have been like the old Shannos, like, unaccompanied, and he had some tremendous songs like Tipperine and Valley and Achanur and all those real old songs. She Moves with the Fair and all them. And And I suppose, you know, it's probably from him, like, that I got the voice, you know.
Yeah. I mean, let's just talk about a couple of songs, a few of the songs you recorded of this. I mean, another one that I really love that you recorded was I Took a Memory to Lunch, which was done by Tom T. Hall and, of course, Bobby Bear. I love your version of that.
Yes, it's a great song, and I had another great song of his as well. It was called The Old Side of Town. That was a great song as well. And I did meet him. I met him back about, I think it was 1988. He did a concert here in Longford, here in the Park House Hotel, and I was in the audience, and Foster and Allen, Ray Lynham, Larry Cunningham, there was a whole lot of us in the audience, and he brought us all up onto the stage, which was really nice of him, you know, and just to recognise the people that were kind of singing country and in Ireland here, and it was a great feeling just to meet him, you know.
But that was a lovely song. Another one that I love that you sang as well is She's Yours to Hurt Tomorrow.
Yeah, Mine to Love Tonight, yeah. That was a Conway Twitty song, yeah. I like that too. It's a great story to it, and I'm a big fan of Conway's, and when we were out that time in America, Sean, about 2 years ago now or more, we went round to see his house and all. We were in his house and all like that, and he was wonderful. He was a wonderful singer, you know. It was a pity that he died so young as well, you know.
I know, and so quickly, you know.
Quickly as well, yeah, the poor fella, yeah.
And then another one that I really like, which is You Be All I've Ever Seen.
Yeah. I can't remember. Some girl sang that, I think.
But the way you do them, I mean, I love the way, as I've always said, which is, I think, I've always said, there will come a day, and I can't wait for it, when Mick Flavin will do an all country love song album, because like you're lucky where you come from, like in Longford. I mean, and to me there's very few people that can sing good country love songs. I mean, you're one of them. Another guy who comes from sort of like round the corner from where you are is Noel Cassidy, who's a great singer of them as well.
Noel's a great singer as well. The man that he should have really made it like back in, you know, back when things were going for him fairly well for him and that, but he's doing his own thing now, and he's doing the local scene and that. And but Noel has a great voice as well, you know.
I mean, Longford has a great sort of a great array of different artists. Like as you said, you got yourself, you got Declan, you got Larry Cunningham, you got Noel Cassidy, and then of course you got the band Gobsmacked as well, who come out of your part of the world.
And Busy Fingers.
And Busy Fingers. I mean, it's really for such a small area, because I mean, it's not a really like big area compared to some areas around.
No,
I mean,
it's true indeed.
You know, a lot compared to sort of like the size of Donegal. But I mean, you got some great artists that come out of there.
Yeah, well, Maud was a bit like that too. Like you had Ray Lynham there, and you have Tom Allen to your Dallas, and then you have Foster and Allen, you know, and you have the Sheerans there as well, who are Danny Sheeran and all them. Like, and you know, I don't know. It just seems to. I think you can go like for counties, and you probably wouldn't get singers in it at all. And I don't know whether it's just that they're more into traditional music or what, but it's just this area here. I know when I was growing up, like in